Hi everybody, and welcome to another custom Thomas Wooden Railway model video. If you've been following the Thomas and Friends TV series for the past couple of years, then you will definitely know who this character is on screen. This is Rebecca, who was introduced a couple of seasons ago, and she's one of the new members of the Thomas and Friends Steam team. Now, this custom was made by a user called the TWR Critic, and I have never featured this user on my channel before, so I want to give a big shout out to him and a big thank you for making this awesome Rebecca custom for me. I'm going to link his YouTube channel in the description below, and I'm also going to link his Twitter because while he is sort of active on YouTube, he's way more active on Twitter, and that gives you guys an opportunity to see his other custom creations. At the time of this video, he has just gotten done making a custom Knapford station, which is one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. So I want you guys to go check that out. So anyway, big thanks to the TWR Critic for making this custom version of Rebecca. Now, I need to give you guys a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm not the biggest fan of the recent seasons of Thomas and Friends. I really stopped watching after like season 20 or season 21. I can't remember which one, and I believe Rebecca was introduced in season 22. So I know very little about Rebecca's character. I thought by the time it came, to making this custom video, I would get around to watching a couple of her episodes so that I could give you guys like an in-depth character analysis and all that. But honestly, I really don't have any desire to watch the episodes or learn more about Rebecca. It's just not my cup of tea. So Rebecca, from what I've been able to tell, is just kind of another kind of normal, Sodor engine that comes in, and I guess she's Henry's direct replacement. Henry gets sent off to Vickerstown, and Rebecca comes in, and she kind of fills Henry's role in the series because she's strong enough to pull the Express, but she's way more brightly colored, and she's a girl engine. So I'm guessing that she'll appeal to more potential fans of the series out there because she's yellow. I really don't know. But anyway, this is Rebecca. And from what I've been able to tell, she's honest when she needs to be honest, and she's happy when she needs to be happy, and she can mess up when there needs to be mistakes made. And honestly, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lot of characters in Thomas and Friends who are like that, who are just kind of like a jack of all trades, can be whatever type of character you need them to be. And that's not a bad thing, but man, those are some really bland, boring characters at the end of the day. So anyway, that's all I really know about Rebecca. I'm guessing that the 22 on her side is based on the season that she was introduced. I'm just guessing. And again, she's painted like bright yellow, which is just a very, Thomas has always had like weird versions of engines painted in bright colors, but, doing this sunshine yellow on Rebecca here is definitely taking it to the next level. So anyway, that's all I really know about Rebecca. I'm not the biggest fan, mostly due to just how she was introduced and the reasoning behind her introduction, kind of like the politics side of things. For those who watch the series, you guys can tell me more about, what you think of her as a character. But anyway, the point of this video is to talk about this awesome custom Rebecca that was made for me. Because if you guys know anything about Thomas merchandise, we're in a very weird world right now, where this is considered a good toy. Well, at least the people at Mattel think it's a good toy. This is Thomas and Friends Wood Rebecca. There was never an unpainted version of her out there. This is the painted one. And people are going to say, oh, it's not that bad. You got some great details on here, and you get her number in the NWR, and look at that awesome face and everything. But man, I still cannot get over how these engines are so short, how the proportions are messed up, and just the overall cheap feeling, honestly. I'm just not a really big fan of it. So the front of this engine should look familiar, because if I bring back the TWR Critic's custom version, the front there, the smoke box with the face, that is the exact same as on the wood model. And I'm gonna kind of go through a run through of a little bit of like a checklist of what the TWR Critic did when making this version of Rebecca. And one of the things that he did, when I was talking to him about this custom, he had me order him a wood Rebecca, and he said, and it made sense. He needed the face and the smoke box for it, because although we don't really like plastic on trains, there are some areas that you just need plastic, and that's one of them. So I was talking to the TWR Critic. This all happened during the summer of 2020, so it was a couple of months ago, and he has done numerous customs in the past, and one of the ones that I really enjoyed was his custom of Rebecca. He just made it for a personal thing, I believe. I don't believe he made it for anybody in particular, but I started talking to him and I said, you know, when it comes, like, if I ever wanted to introduce Rebecca into my series, I don't want to use the wood version, and I was wondering if you would be willing to make me one of your custom Rebeccas, because I really like how it looks. I love the detailing on it. It looks like something that could have come out of a Learning Curve factory, you know, back in the day, something like that. And so we got along, and we were talking about things, and when it came time for this custom to actually come alive, I had to send the TWR Critic a wood Rebecca, and I believe I did that through Amazon. It was just cheaper to send it, you know, from me buy it on Amazon, send it to him, versus me go to like Barnes & Noble and buy it in person and then ship it to him. So I sent him a wood Rebecca, which is important. Not only due to the smoke box in the face, but also due to the wheels. We're going to learn about that a little bit later. And then he said he needed like some long engine like Gordon. And I said, okay, well, that's probably kind of what our, you know, custom basis is going to be built from. And I said, well, there's a lot of versions of Gordon out there, you know, which one are you thinking? And he said, oh, it doesn't really matter, we just need kind of a long engine like this. So I said, well, what about like a 2003 Gordon, like the one we see on screen here? And he said, that's fine, because this is probably one of the most produced toys ever in the Thomas Wooden Railway line. There are a lot of 2003 Gordons out there. So I found one on eBay. It was like the cheapest one I found, and it was in decent enough condition. And I said, hey, will this work for you? And the TWR Critic said, yeah, that's perfect. So I shipped that off to him, and a couple of months later, he sent this to me. So let's go into details about what exactly the TWR Critic did to make this custom Rebecca come alive. And fair warning, there's a lot of big words coming up that I don't even really understand, to be honest, but I'm going to do my best to try to educate us all, because I learned a lot of things when the TWR Critic sent this checklist to me. I really didn't know how this custom came together. I knew this middle part was custom, and he did some things to the tender, but I didn't know he was going to do all of this. So the TWR Critic says the sides were made from a thick but easy to carve slab of wood. Now, what he means by this, I'm pretty sure he's talking about the body here. So he says this thing right here was made from a thick but easy to carve slab of wood. So not only is, I mean, this is like, you know, woodworking 101. I mean, we are going back to the basics with this model. I would have never have guessed that, you know, you'd have to do that much custom work to begin with. So the smoke box here is from the wood version. Then we have the main body version that apparently, you know, this is not just like a normal rectangular piece of wood. If you look really closely, you can kind of see how it starts to curve up more towards the top there. It's definitely not symmetrical, so the TWR Critic had to come along, and I'm guessing he had to use some type of machinery, or he had to, like, you know, shave off the sides of the wood here to make it look right. And he said it took him about 2 tries to get it right, so this was no, like, Sunday afternoon, you know, quick fix for him, or like a Sunday project. I mean, this is something that he worked a really long time on. So this slab of wood in the middle here is completely custom made. Then he talks about the roof. He says the roof was made from something called air dry clay, and it originally took him about 5 tries for him to get the boiler and the cab right. He said he had to try a couple of times to get everything angled just right and even with each other. So I think he's talking about this top area here, and I'm guessing this cab area is its own separate thing. And I'll be honest, I had to Google what air dry clay was. I didn't know what that was, and apparently it's kind of like clay, but you don't need a furnace to heat it up and to basically make it set. It's something that just air dries, as the name suggests, but I had never heard that before. So this body here is completely custom made. This cab area appears to be made out of clay that was hardened over time. And then he did a really nice job. If you look closely, you can kind of see a seam here where I'm guessing he tried to, or where he put the 2 areas together. And then after all that was done, he came along and he painted this really nice. I think he did a really good job of matching up Rebecca's colors here, and I believe that the color is very consistent. I think the only difference really is the material, because this is wood and this is plastic, so of course there's going to be a little bit of color difference there. But then, you know, keeping with, you know, how Rebecca looks, he came in with this orange, I guess you'll call it like a wave or a stripe, and then he came along with the red one. And then he was even kind enough to, I mean, gosh, I mean, there's barely a lip at the bottom there, it feels like, and he came along and even did the what little part of the running board is sticking out. He even did that as white. So that is really, really impressive. And then we kind of have like this navy color along the bottom here, and then the cab detailing with the number. I don't even know what these dots are supposed to represent, but they are accurate. And then like the cab detailing with the windows is just excellent. I mean, this is really just a piece of artwork, a beautiful piece of artwork to hold in your hand. The bogies here obviously didn't come from a wood Rebecca, because one of the major faults with the wood line is that they don't have bogies. So I'm guessing this, what we're looking at on the bottom here, this is what the Gordon was used for mostly. What's interesting is, as you guys have been able to see throughout the video, these bogies are free spinning. If you take a look at this learning curve bogie, the bogies, you know, they can rotate a little bit, but they lock into place. But this Rebecca bogie, I mean, there's like a party going on. These bogies here are free spinning. They can spin all the way around. I could even point the magnets toward each other, and since they are opposite connections, they will connect with each other. The only thing I can think of is there's a little bit of a hole right there, and I'm guessing there used to be a nail or some stopping mechanism to keep the bogies from spinning around. You can kind of see another one right there. In the back there. I'm guessing the TWR Critic removed these, and now we have free spinning Rebecca bogies, which is a lot of fun, but I do have to be careful because a lot of times I've just set Rebecca down like that, and I'm like, why? What's going on? What's the issue here? But the wheels came from the wood Rebecca toy. If I were to, unfortunately my camera is not super good, but you can kind of see the writing on the inside. In the thinner wheels that the wood engines use. So those wheels came from wood Rebecca over here, but I don't know where he got the extras, because wood Rebecca only has like 6 wheels on her main body here and 4 more on the tender, and between, you know, this bigger body here and then the tender in the background, we're looking at, you know, more than 10 wheels if my math is correct. I think we're looking at 12 total, so I don't know where he got the extra Rebecca wheels from, if that was from, if he had extras left over from his original creation or whatever, but he did a really good job of putting these wheels together. He could have come along and repainted Gordon's wheels, but I think maybe just to keep things simpler, it was easier for him just to, he probably just took some pliers and tore the wheels off. You can kind of see a bit where the plastic tore here. Probably where he just yanked it off with some pliers, and of course it was made by the TWR Critic. So enough about Rebecca's body, let's talk about the tender, because this is really where kind of the magic all comes together. Not to, you know, say that that the main Rebecca body isn't beautiful or anything, it's absolutely gorgeous, but I love this tender because one of the most disappointing parts of the wood line, and there are a lot of disappointments, is just how bland the tenders are. It's just a block of wood with some stamped on decorations. No 3D elevation changes or anything tangible you can feel up here. Just very, very boring stuff. This tender, on the other hand, is something truly glorious. I love the hand-painted NWR logo on the side there that will fit in nicely with the 22 number back there. And then I was talking about those 3D elevation changes. I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable on trains. I'm guessing this is the main coal bunker. I don't know what these do, but I'm guessing this is where the water is inserted, and then you spin it around, and just to feel all of this in your hand really is something. You can tell it's the original Rebecca tender because I can show you guys the light there, and he must have put a couple of coats of paint, because I actually can't feel the indentation where you would normally feel where it says Rebecca's tender. There's no indentation there. So he must have put a couple of coats of paint on the bottom there. I can't feel anything, but I love this tender, and really this is a case of like the tender bringing the whole puzzle, the whole masterpiece together. This is something really, really nice. So that's going to wrap it up when it comes in terms of showing off this Rebecca custom. I have a couple more things to talk about. The TWR Critic said the only parts of the original Rebecca, aka this original wood Rebecca right here, that were kept were the smoke box, aka this front part where the face is, the tender, which I just talked about, and the wheels. So if the TWR Critic happens to watch this video, I would love to know where he got the extra Rebecca wheels from. I'm hoping he didn't go out and buy another wood Rebecca just to tear the wheels off of. That's something I could have definitely helped him in. And then about the tender real quick, the TWR Critic says that the tender was carved following the outline of the wood tender, which we saw, and then the extra details were originally made with clay. I presume it's kind of like that that air dry clay he was talking about earlier, but then he later upgraded them to wood, as it was more, his words are, it was more sustainable. So apparently these top decorations here were originally made out of clay. I wonder if on his original custom, aka like the prototype for this one, maybe these were made out of clay. He didn't like how they looked after a while or something, but I guess this detailing right here and then this elevated part is also made out of wood and painted really, really nicely. So that's going to do it for the little tidbits that the TWR Critic left for me. I absolutely love how this custom looks. There is definitely a character and a personality here to be explored. And when it comes to potentially introducing Rebecca into my, series, before, without this beautiful custom in my collection, I would have definitely said no, absolutely not. The wood models, the tender engines are extremely shrunk down. There's a lot of details missing. There would be no way I would ever let one of those things be seen in a serious episode of my Thomas Wooden Railway series. However, with something like this in my collection, it definitely opens up the door. I would love to do something different than the TV series has done. I, talked extensively earlier about how Rebecca really isn't, from what I can tell, she isn't a unique character. She's just painted yellow, and apparently that's a big deal. I think if Mattel wanted a yellow character to become part of the Steam team, they should have just brought back Molly, because she's a yellow tender engine, and I'm sure she has the same appeal as Rebecca. I mean, really, you're just looking for a yellow female engine to take the role as one of your prominent characters in your TV series, and that's exactly what Molly was. So Rebecca's existence, I have a hard time dealing with, because I just can't, for the life of me, try to, figure out, a real good reason why she exists other than, politics, basically. There is another version of Rebecca I want to show you guys real quick, and it's interesting because it fits on Thomas Wooden Railway track. This is the push-along version of Rebecca. When it comes to, like, if I didn't have this awesome custom in my collection right here, I'm sure people would ask me, well, which one would you use? And honestly, it's like pick your poison. I really don't like either of them. The push-along version, probably, there's a lot more curves and, stuff going on. It definitely, captures your eye more than the wood version. I think the wood version is just very, very unoriginal and very bland. But this one here, I mean, there's a lot of fat, for lack of a better term, going on here. The push-along engines, the tender engines, are very unique, let's say, and well, I think the tender is really nice, although it's extremely lightweight. This front area, there's just a lot going on, and having put it on the Wooden Railway track, I've begun to see, oh wow, this does not look good at all. It's a lot shorter in height, sitting next to like Edward in the background or Henry there, it'd definitely be like a shorter looking engine. But I wanted to show that off because yes, it does fit on Wooden Railway track, but I still wouldn't want to use that in my series. I really don't even want to have to go down that lane. Fortunately, the TWR Critic has saved me a lot of heartache and pain because he was nice enough to come along and make this custom here. I actually like how he left the paint unfinished. It has a very raw feeling to it, and that's something that I kind of like. But guys, I think that's going to do it for this custom Thomas Wooden Railway model video. Again, big thanks to the TWR Critic, who poured countless hours of his life and his soul into this beautiful rendition of Rebecca. Fun fact, when I was perusing the the Thomas and Friends wiki before this video, maybe just as a point of discussion, apparently her original name, Rebecca's original name, was going to be Miranda. And I really like that name. When I look at this engine, Miranda just seems like a more natural name to me. Maybe that's just me. Maybe some people think Rebecca is better. But I don't know, like, if she came in and was just like a background character with the name Miranda, I would kind of like that version of Rebecca versus this yellow banana that has to have all the screen time all of a sudden. So again, like I said earlier, I don't know much about Rebecca. She doesn't seem like anything special that we've never seen before in Thomas and Friends. And with the way the TV series is going, I don't really know if I'm ever going to get around to exploring Rebecca you know, and getting to know her better in terms of what the TV series has provided with us. However, if she ever appears in my Thomas Wooden Railway series, I would make a point to try to make her something different and something interesting that hasn't been done before. But anyway, that's a whole nother video. So thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. This is a custom I've wanted to show off for a long time, and again, I want to give a huge thanks and shout out for the TWR Critic. Go check out his Twitter account. Just all the stuff he does is really amazing and deserves a lot of praise and recognition, in my opinion. So that's going to do it for this custom Thomas Wooden Railway video on Rebecca. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.